Hey everyone, welcome to Healthy Mind, Happy Life podcast. I am your host, Katelyn Englert. I believe that we can all move through life transitions without losing who we are, but it takes the right support, community, and connection to carry us through. We can heal through sharing experience, strength, and hope. Each week, we will have genuine and real conversations that will inspire you to shift your mindset to live a happier, free life. Hey guys, just your friendly reminder to please write a review. I do spend a lot of time planning, recording, and editing the podcast. I do actually do all of it by myself, and it's very time consuming, but so worth it. I love doing it. I love showing up for you guys every single week. I just ask that you could write a review because it boosts the podcast ratings so people see it and it gets more exposure. If you could also pass it along to a friend that you think could benefit from it, that would be awesome as well. And I always appreciate everyone listening. Hey everyone. Welcome back. I'm so glad to be back after being off for about a month. And I'm going to spend some time talking about that today and what that experience was like. I think that it's something a lot of you will find helpful because so many of us in general in society have this inability to slow down and rest. And we're always chasing the next thing or, stuck in the hustle of something or feeling like we have to do all of these things and putting all this additional pressure on ourselves. And I had some pretty big takeaways when I decided to take off for the month of July. I learned a lot just making that decision. And then throughout the month of being off, I also learned a lot about that experience and just about myself in general. So let's just start with why did I decide to take a month off, which I did talk about a little bit in the episodes from June. The reason I decided to take off, the first thing was I homeschooled for the past year, and a toddler and a challenging 6-year-old, 7-year-old now, and then balancing a job and the programs that we were doing just caught up to me. So I wasn't necessarily burned out from any of the specific environments or the things I was doing. It was as a whole. I was very burned out and I could feel it physically. I was really run down. Mentally, I was really struggling, very sensitive and emotional, or the opposite, like very agitated and angry. And then in between all of this, I'm doing therapy myself. So some trauma work and past childhood stuff and spirituality. And that's enough. So it's, that in combination with everything else I had going on, it really caught up to me, and I feel like I'm in this place of healing, but it was really hard to allow myself to experience a full healing experience because I still have, and we all do, still have those like day-to-day responsibilities. I just was feeling like I couldn't breathe, and it was causing a lot of stress and anxiety. And when I'm in that state for extended periods of time, I know I'm not good to anybody, not even myself. And I don't want to feel like I'm just surviving all the time, which with little kids, it's going to be like that a lot of the time. I've just kind of surrendered to that. That is just this age and stage of life where it's extremely busy and you kind of are just trying to get through each day. But I realized I don't want that. Like, I don't enjoy it. I don't like that. And yes, probably most of the days are kind of just like that. But I want to experience more of a feeling, I don't know how to explain it, of like just being able to slow down and be more present. And I don't mean just present with my kids, but present with myself and in rhythm with what I'm experiencing. And when I looked at my calendar for the month of July, originally I had some professional development. So my intentions for taking off, it really wasn't fully for rest. It was for professional development, and we had some vacations planned as a family. Well, some things got moved around, and it was actually a lot different than my original intention for doing it. And my intention changed. And I'm so glad that it did. So to begin, I'll just share with you that I had registered for an EMDR certification. I was just feeling like, okay, I made it through a year of homeschooling. My kids are going to go to camps and stuff this summer. And I just really want to spend some time developing my career, because I'm always battling with, do I put my time into my kids? Do I put time into my business? But the balance of trying to juggle everything, home responsibilities, children, a job, being a teacher for my kids, and still trying to be a good wife. And it was just in a friend too. I mean, my friendships and my social life have definitely went down a little bit, but that's normal for where I'm at in my life. But I've started to kind of like reprioritize, what is most important. And so backing up, so I signed up for this EMDR certification, and I just decided that was my priority, right? Like I closed this one chapter, I did the thing that I said I was going to do in homeschool, and it worked okay for the year. But now this was my time, right? I'm going to put it into my career, and this is my time to like slow down and do what I want to do. Well, what happened was the first day of the training conflicted with something I already had scheduled for the kids. And the training said that you could make up the days, but I didn't read the fine print. Surprise. Not very detail oriented. And it said you can't miss days 1 and 2. So they did offer me to do it in the fall, but I have the same situation. I can't do the first 2 days. And when I first saw the email, I cried. I got like this feeling in the pit of my stomach that I'm sure we've all experienced, when we got denied that job opportunity we wanted, or we didn't get pregnant like we thought we were going to, or something didn't happen that we had high expectations for. And that feeling that just sinks into your gut, and you're like, oh, this is so disappointing. It was that I just was filled with so much disappointment and upset. And I just started crying. And then I was like, why am I constantly choosing between my kids and my job? This is so frustrating. And for a few days, I was not in a good place. And I battled over, do I cancel the thing I had planned with my kids, which really wasn't that big of a deal, but I had that commitment for a long time. So it was like, do I choose my kids or do I choose this training? And I had already, before the training, before I got this email, I had already been contemplating, should I have done this, right? I'm putting my kids in camps, and they're doing some things this summer to free up my schedule a little bit so I can take some time to fill my cup back up. And what did I do? The opposite. I put more on my plate. So I didn't really take the time to like sit in that. I just made that decision. And I wouldn't say it was an impulsive decision, because I've been thinking about the training for a long time, but I didn't fully give myself enough time to just settle into a new routine. I just made this decision. And my therapist said, well, why now? And just that question, I started over the few weeks in between her saying that and hearing about the training, thinking, was this really a smart decision? Well, you know what? It is what it is now. I'm just going to leave it alone. And then the email came, and it like just whacked me in the face. Like I just felt myself really defeated and upset about it. And I started becoming curious about, why is this upsetting you so much? And I just decided I wasn't going to fight it. Like if I was getting this email, to me, it was a sign from a power greater than myself that said, this isn't the time. Now, we all have choice, even when signs come along in our journey. We all have choice in, do I pursue this? Do I push it? Do I fight it? Or do I surrender to it? And I could have fought it, or I could have made a different choice, and that would have been okay too. I just decided I wasn't willing to give up the day with my kids, which there was some other stuff going on there too. I was like, my kids don't even appreciate the thing I'm taking them to do. But to me, it was about spending that time with them and giving them that experience. And even that aside, I just felt like this was a sign that was saying, like, this is not the time for you. And I just decided to go with that. But there was like this, it was really weird. Like, I had this feeling of grief and loss. And I feel like I grieved for a couple weeks on and off about this. And it wasn't just about the training, it was about this realization that I'm in a time of healing. And I feel a lot of things that have always been a part of who I am falling away because they know those things no longer serve me. And that's some of the stuff I'll actually discuss today. I just think it was almost like my ego died, right? Like this desire to hustle more, get the next certification, do the next big thing, keep up with everyone else in the field. So it was almost like my ego was deflated because I had this realization that maybe my career isn't the priority right now. And maybe this isn't the pathway for me. I thought it was, and maybe it will be down the road. But right now, I don't think it's that. And that surrender, that's what I was experiencing. Surrender is experiencing like grief and freedom all in the same breath, right? You're letting go of something, but you're also gaining this sense of freedom. And there's just so much overwhelming feelings that come with that. And I made this decision and worked through it. And so I didn't have this training on my plate. And I'm honestly really glad now that I did decide to just let it go and not fight it, even though it stung pretty bad. Because typically my usual self, my old self, would have fought it and done everything in my power, rearranged my whole schedule, and disappointed my kids and just done what I wanted to do. But I had to take a step back and really think about the decision. And I said, you know what, I'm going to email the company back and just say, like, I can't do the other dates that are available. If something changes and I am able to make up that day, please let me know. And if they came back with a yes, then it was meant to be. If they came back with a no, then that wasn't meant to be. And they came back with a no, and they did refund me. So it worked out. But I still have all the emotion behind it that I had to work through. That's been challenging. And where I've been at, like, spiritually and internally, is months and months, back through the winter and everything. I've been working through a lot of old childhood trauma and things I didn't even realize were there until they came up. And like a big thing for me is I'm an achiever, right? So I'm always achieving. I'm always having to prove myself, and I receive self-worth through the things that I do, through my career, through my accomplishments, through the things I do at home. And I want to be appreciated for those things. And I find them very important. And that's why throughout my life, one, I've been very successful because I have that drive, but also I've always been next thing. Okay, finish that, next thing, finish that, next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing. And now that I'm in my 30s, so I think some of it's age and stage of life, but now that I'm in my 30s and my life looks a lot different, I can't sustain that anymore. Like, it really has caught up to me. And then everything I've been going through in therapy, it's really taken a toll on me. And I just kept fighting it and fighting it and fighting it. And then one day I just decided to pray for surrender because I didn't realize how much I was trying to control my healing process and fighting those things within me, that desire to achieve, the desire to fit in, the self-worth that I get out of it. And what I realized is doing all those things, like I said, have been good qualities and helped me in a lot of ways in my life, but they're actually really conflicting at this point in my life. Because when I try to do a lot of different things, then I either don't finish the tasks that I'm beginning, or I'm not being a good mom and I'm not being a good wife because I'm stretched so thin that I don't have the capacity for my family. And so I really have taken this time to just slow down. Since probably May, I would say I've been working towards it. And now that my kids, have been able to like get out of the house and I've had some days to myself, it's been a lot better because I've been able to allow myself to just heal through spending some time in my gardens for hours, right? Not having any goal for the day except just let me work in my garden and focus on this one thing. And that's it. That's all I have to do for today. And yes, there's those days where I'm overwhelmed and I have 100 things on my to-do list. And I shoot myself in the foot now, like this week. It's crazy, right? I'm back to work. I'm trying to get the podcast recording. My kids are in 2 different camps and they start up football and cheerleading. And it's just insane, like between where everyone has to be and then my schedule with work, it all just crashed into 1 week. Now I'm getting through each day, but I don't like that. I don't like that feeling of being rushed anymore and trying to accomplish so much in 1 week. So every time I do this, I'm learning from these experiences of how to plan better, how to give myself space and time, how to teach my children that. And I guess that's what taking a month off has taught me, is that when I gave myself that time and permission to slow down and heal, I started to really feel the benefits of that. I was able to, so the first week was just crazy because it was the 4th of July. And so we had people over and friends and family in from out of town. And then the second week, I was able to just spend some time home with my kids, spend some time in the gardens. And then the third week, we went on vacation, but the kids were in camp during the day. And so I was able to just be with myself, be with the baby, which I don't ever get one-on-one time with her. And it felt like a real vacation. I was able to just settle in and read a book and kind of move at my own speed, pick what I wanted to do for the day, and not have to deal with so many of the responsibilities in my day-to-day life. And so I was really able to see myself in this and see myself in how I felt. And the feeling that I got was calm, because the days that I did have a lot going on, I could feel my nervous system so overwhelmed and taxed, and I've been more in tune with that. So I'm less in my head now and more in my body, and I could feel that overwhelm. And I just tell myself, I don't like this. Now, is it possible to avoid that all the time? No. But what I'm learning is I've learned to befriend my nervous system. So I can say, okay, hey, I hear you overwhelmed. I don't like this. Okay, so what can I do to change this next time? Or you just have a couple hours of getting everyone where they need to be. Or yes, you have a lot on your plate today. Let's pick 2 things to focus on and what can wait. And so being able to just befriend it and be in tune with that helps me learn from those experiences and just be more gentle with myself. So what I'm learning is that I do want to slow down in my business. I do want to take a step back from seeing as many clients because I'm I've tried to battle for so long. Do I pick my kids or my career? And I've always wanted to pick my family, but I could never get there because this ego, this achiever, this need to prove something has always gotten in the way, which makes me less present at home, makes me very distracted and not able to support my kids. And I can see that they are going through some stuff right now and they really need me there. And because of all the healing I've done, and I don't have that, I still do. It's always going to be a part of me, but it's not taking the driver's seat anymore, I guess I would say. That a need to like achieve and prove something to the world. It's kind of on the back burner. And I want to spend this time with my family. And the beautiful thing is, my job, I can do that. I'm very grateful that I can speed up if I want and I can slow down if I want. And I have some goals that I'm still working on professionally. And I've worked so hard to build my business. It means so much to me that I will never let it go. So I've had this conversation with myself of, okay, how can you keep doing what you're doing, but at a little bit of a slower rate? And so seeing less clients allows me the ability to do that, see a few people a week and still be able to get everything done that I need to at home and prioritize my family without constantly feeling overwhelmed and stressed. I mean, my number one saying, I feel like at home that I say to my kids is, not right now, I'm doing blank. Not right now, I have to do this. I can't right now because I have A, B, and C to do. And I hate that. I hate that all my responsibilities or my job takes priority over their needs. Now, listen, I don't think that their needs should come first all the time. But there's definitely a, a weight that I'm feeling that it's happening too often, and that I don't like. And so I'm learning a lot about that, and I'm finding a lot of acceptance with it, that my career is always going to be here, and my kids are not. They are not going to be this little forever. They will grow up. We always still need our parents, most of us. But my kids are only going to be this little, and they will remember these times in their life. This is crucial for their development and the memories that they're making. I want to be a part of that. And I can't do it all, even though I try so hard, and I know so many parents and moms out there do. We try to be it all, and you can keep doing that until you can't. And that's what happened to me, is it's only sustainable for so long until you crash and burn. And I didn't really crash, but I definitely am, I was burning a little bit. It was just a lot. And it still is. It was still really busy the month that I wasn't even really off. I still had so much going on. And that was the thing that I realized too, is like, wow, it's still so busy and I have so much going on and I'm not working in these weeks. So how do I do it when I throw in my job? And that was like a big realization for me, is no wonder you're stressed. Like I could feel that. No wonder you're stressed, because you're trying to do all of this over here. Plus you typically go to a job 2-3 days a week. And having that realization really helped put things into like a bigger picture. And that's where I'm at. I'm looking at things on like a bigger picture. And what do I want for my life? What do I want to create for my life and my family? And how can I take care of myself and them without being stressed and overwhelmed all the time? Because my nervous system doesn't desire to function in that state anymore, now that I'm learning this regulation and co-regulation within me. So all that being said, I'm going to keep doing the podcast. I'm hoping to have some really good guests coming up here in the fall and have some episodes that are new information and will help you guys continue to do your own interpersonal healing. And whether you're at where I'm at, or maybe you're at the beginning stages, or you've just been thinking about it, what I can tell you is it's always unfolding. And I know I say that a lot because it's true. Like, I look back at my own journey, even 5 years ago, I've been thinking a lot about these things and the changes I've wanted to make for years and years and years. But I had to do some other work first before I could get to where I'm at now. Right? I had to do all those other layers before I could do the inner child healing. I had to learn regulation with my nervous system in order to move into this place, because my body's saying, no, we don't want this anymore. But my mind is always saying, yes, go for it. Do it anyway. Bypass what your body's saying. And now that I am less in my head and more in my body, I can actually listen and respond instead of just ignoring it and moving past it. And it feels really good to be in sync with that. Now, it's not in sync all the time. I still do things like this week where I put way too much on my plate and I'm like, why did you do that? And then I'm trying to backpedal, trying to pull my son out of camp because he has football starting and it's, the drive, and who's going to pick him up and get him here. And then I'm working late. And so who's going to pick up the kids and get them where they need to be? And the baby needs to be fed and they need dinner. And I'm sure you're even feeling anxious or overwhelmed just hearing me say it like that. So my system is going, alert, alert, there's too much going on. And so I still make these mistakes, right? I still put too much on my plate. I learn from it, and then I try to backpedal, and sometimes I can get out of it and sometimes I can't. And those are really good learning opportunities for me. And so it's better than it used to be, and it's still not where I want it to be. And that's okay. And so if it's not where you want it to be yet, that's okay. You are headed in that direction. And as long as you continue to think about it, envision it, it will happen. Just a quick story about that. I have always envisioned and wanted certain things for my business and wanted to be in a certain place for years. And then I finally reached it this year. I'm like, wow, like I'm meeting all those goals that I've thought about for years and years that I didn't think were going to happen for me. And now I've manifested it, and here it is. And now I'm wanting to take that step back. Right? So it's not that I couldn't handle it. It's just that I'm in a totally different place. And so I'm proud of what I've achieved. And that was one of my battles, is like, I've worked so hard and now you're going to just take this step back. It's like, that's okay. Like, I'm giving myself permission that that's okay. And so if you're thinking about things now, they may happen next week. They may happen years down the road. Just hang on, because they will happen. Whatever you're thinking and dreaming about, you are manifesting. It's going to happen at some point in your life. It just is not on your time. It's on the universe's time, or your higher power's time. And just be patient with yourself throughout this process, which is not an easy thing to do. But try to just be in tune with yourself and find that rhythm, because it feels really good. So that's all I have for today. I will be back hopefully with some guests starting at the end of this month into the fall. If you would like to be a guest, or you know anyone who would be a fantastic guest, please send them my way. I would love to hear from them. And as always, thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. If you like it, please write a review or share it with a friend. And that really helps boost the podcast. So I would really, really appreciate the time. I put a lot of time and effort into this, and I don't get paid to do it. So if you guys could do that, that would be fantastic. And I will see you all back next week.